So I've gone through my application now, and I've added some formatting to the grid views and details view. So it looks a little better. All of this is being controlled by the CSS, and I've added the master details scenario. All right, so we can get in here. We can easily edit, and we can delete. And on delete, we get messages, we get some redirect, things are a little bit smoother. I can add a new customer. Okay, so that's working smoothly, redirecting. The same for tools, so I can view all the tools. I can edit, delete, and add a new one over here using the master details. So this should not be new to you. You should understand this. If you're having problems getting the master details working, getting the formatting working with CSS or anything like that, you should be able to pick those up from previous videos that we've done. Looking here at the CSS, I've added some extra graphics in there. All right, I've got the CSS for the divs, CSS for the menu control, grid view, details view, those kinds of things. So that's there and seems to be working well. Now the next thing I want to do is the ability to search my application. Create a new search page. You may not want to do this. You may want to just build this functionality into a page you already have. But for clarity, I'm going to just make it its own separate page. I'll do one for tools and one for customers. Okay, so I've got it tool search down here. So this is going to be the one for tools. First thing I need to do is add a SQL view or a SQL data source. Right under the SQL data source, I'm going to add a text box. And under the text box, I'm going to add a grid view. All right, I'm going to be searching tools, so I'm going to connect my data source into the tool application, or to the tool table. And I'm going to get name, manufacturer, description, daily rental, photo name. And then I'm going to tie my grid view to that data source. I don't want photo name appearing, so I can get rid of that. Clean up the way some of this is displayed. Okay. I'm going to give this is going to be my search box. So I'm going to call it text box underscore search. Call it search 1, because here in a little bit I'm going to do a second one. Okay, so I have that in place. I would like to get this formatted using the same CSS. So let me find another details view, or grid view, sorry. And I don't need ID or run at, auto-generate columns. Those are all fine. Don't need data key names, source ID, I can get rid of those. And I already have an allow sorting. Okay. Alright, when I do those things, I'm going to look at this search page. Just view in browser. Okay, so I've got my text box there. Add in a little information. Okay, let me look at it again. Okay, looks good. So I've got the structure in place. Right now this is returning everything from the data from the tools table. I'll clean this up here in a little bit. But I've got basically the infrastructure in place. I have this text box in the grid view. So now I need to get into the code behind on tool search. And I'm going to use the text box. Text changed. So whenever someone types a search string into that text box and presses enter, then this text changed event will fire, and we'll do these following things here. So I'm going to just declare a variable. I'm going to call it search word as a string. And then I need to actually populate search word. And here's going to be the SQL select statement. From the tools table, where name like and text box search text string. And so after I have the select statement typed in, then we need to actually apply this. So let's do SQL data source 1. This is going to be the select command, and we're just going to equal the search word, the variable up there. All right, so let's save this up and let's give it a try here. Refresh. All right, so now let's look for we're looking in the name category, so let's look for saw, and I think we'll get 3 things returned. And we do. So it goes from that long list of all the tools down to just the tools with the word saw in the name. So let's do compound. It's just the one. If we just leave it blank, it returns all of them again. And then we can sort these or whatever we want to do with them. So sorting by name or searching by name is good. We might also want to search by description. So let's get in. And I need to get rid of that last close quote. And so our next step, so we're going to search by select star from tools where name is like or the actual tool, the database field is called tool description. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Okay, so I'm loading it up fresh. So now I should be able to get carpet and rigid. Those are the 2 things I'm going to search for. Carpet should return this one, and rigid should return this one. And one out of the name, one out of the description. So let's see if that happens. Carpet returns just that one, and that one tool was a rigid, and just did as returned. So now this one box is searching from both the name and the description. I can use postback a little bit with this to kind of clean things up and make it look a little neater. Hide this grid view unless we need it. So let's take a look at that real quick. So I'll get back into my tool search page. Alright, so right before here we'll do the if not is postback, then. Alright, so if it's not postback, it's the very first time this thing is loaded, then we're going to display that message box there about search for a tool. If it's not the case, so else. Alright, so this thing is in postback. If it is in postback, then we are going to display the grid view. And then the last thing I need to do is the end if. Okay. So now this should display the tool search, and then once I put a search criteria in there, it'll show the grid views. Let's see. That did not work. So if not is postback, then let's display the grid view. And if. So this all looks correct. So let me just close this and start over. That's better. So we can search for rigid. All right, and now it displays the grid view. But notice I don't have a way to do a different search or anything like that. So let me go just add that feature real quick. So I'm just going to basically copy this one from original. I'm going to get down here inside of the grid, inside of the else statement. And I'm going to call this text box search 2. So now what will happen when the page is not in postback? We'll see this search for a tool. We type that in, we hit enter. So now we are in postback, so we're here in the else. The first thing we'll see is search for another tool with a text box that we can type it in, and then we'll see the grid view of our results. So let's say I need to do some work in the code behind now to pass search terms for that text box. Okay, I'm turning these so that everything matches the text search 2 text box now. Looks good. Alright, so let's save everything and we'll view in the browser again. So now I can search for rigid. Alright, or I can search for another tool. I can search for a saw. Or I can search for another tool. I can search for a concrete. Okay, so the searching seems to be working. The postback has kind of cleaned it up, made things a little neater, a little easier to use. And again, I did my search page, or my search feature as its own page. You might want to build this feature right into the home page, right here on the very beginning. Maybe you've got search right across the top. You should be able to search from multiple different fields. We've covered that. And then, so this is searching for tools. I would need to set something very similar to this up to search for customers. I would just change the fields that I'm looking in. So here is a good example of how to set up a search.